Okay, welcome everyone. I appreciate everybody logging in early and getting all ready for this webinar. My name is Jim Maughan, and I'm going to be doing the presentation and the demonstration today. We've got a lot of first-time viewers. We got some customers on this webinar. We got some people from Infor and from several of our partners. So welcome everyone. If you're watching this webinar as a recording, and a lot of people have requested a copy of this recording, there's going to be a survey at the end. If you're watching it as a recording, you're probably not going to see that survey. So if you would please just send me an email. Let me know if you'd like a copy of the link to the recording, or if you like the free evaluation copy of the software that we're offering in the session. So again, feel free to email me or call me at the email address here in the lower left-hand corner, or the phone number right there. So again, but welcome everyone. So let's kind of get started. Now, I can't actually answer questions live in the session, but if you do, there's a little icon down there that says Q&A. You can submit questions, and either myself or my partner Brad Jackson will be able to answer those questions for you. But we'll try to keep track as those come in and answer them as we go. Kind of an interesting group today. It's probably 50-50 between SyteLine on-prem and CSI cloud customers. So we're going to talk about both environments as we go through the session today. And the session today, we're going to talk about easy to use reporting, dashboards, and financial statements for CSI and SyteLine. That's kind of the topic. We're going to try to cover all that as we go along. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, call me, whatever is easiest for you. Okay, so just moving right along through these PowerPoints. The agenda today, we're going to talk about typical customer requirements. What are people looking for when it comes for reporting, BI, and dashboards and financial statements? We're going to go through several customer case studies just to show you what people have done with the Cyberquery software. We'll go into depth about the software. And again, the software is called Cyberquery, or CQ. You might also hear me call it Enterprise Cyberquery, or ECQ. It all means the same thing. We've just shortened the name to make it easier for everybody. We'll spend most of our time in the software just showing you how it works with good old SyteLine or CSI data. And then next steps. Really, the next steps are pretty easy. If you like what you see in the session today, just request a evaluation copy of the software. We'll send it to you. We'll even help you install it and configure it. We've got it down to a science. Really, we can install the software and have you writing reports within 2 hours of downloading it. So it's a pretty easy install and pretty quick setup. And that's for CSI or for SyteLine. Okay, but requirements. When we talk to customers, the number one thing we hear from SyteLine or CSI customers is that they want easy access to their data. Again, whether it's SyteLine on-prem, and this can be any version of SyteLine, going all the way back to Cymex 4. So whether it's Progress or SQL Server data, no problem. CSI multi-tenant cloud, again, no problem. You can also combine data from multiple sources. So if you want to combine data with CSI in the cloud and CPQ, or Infor CRM, or Salesforce, or SAP, or Oracle, no problem at all. Same for SyteLine on-prem. Multiple databases, combining cloud and on-prem data is something very easily done within Cyberquery. Second bullet is everybody wants to be able to see all kinds of reports, charts, analytics, and BI. We're going to show you a bunch of those as we go through the session today, including being able to schedule and distribute via email any reports or dashboards you might need. All the documents we're showing you are going to be either Excel, PDF, or HTML. But again, users can take those documents and then click, click, click to drill down to get the data they need to see to make a decent decision. We're going to show you a lot of sophisticated reports. So we're going to show you financial statements. We're going to show you audit reports. We'll show you bills of material, bills of lading, commission reports, anything you might need. One of the nice things about Cyberquery is it comes with a report library. And this report library grows. Every time we build a report for a customer that seems like it's kind of general purpose, we put it in this library. And we've got over 250, 300 sample reports out there that you can take and use as is or modify for your own particular needs. And it really runs the gamut. Again, whether it's a bill of material or a commission report, they're all out there. The other thing we're going to show you is a bunch of dashboards, and really designed to be colorful and impressive, where the executives can go in and go click, click, click to get to the data they need to see. We'll also cover pricing. The software is very reasonably priced. You can license the software monthly, annually, or perpetually. Again, whatever works out best for your business. So here's just kind of a sample list of people using Cyberquery. We have over 4,000 customers using Cyberquery, big guys and little guys and everybody in between. Names that probably mean something to some of you. Harsco, IKG, Sportsman Boats, they're all using Cyberquery with SyteLine. Same with Dayton, Phoenix, Air Tractor, Triumph, Active Minerals, Radius, Ulrich, NIC Global, Genesis. They're all using Cyberquery with SyteLine on-prem. In the cloud for CSI would be people like Evo America, Stingray Boats, MSM, Pitco, Rocky Mountain Hardware, Blodgett. So we have over 250, maybe 300 sites using Cyberquery with SyteLine, either on-prem or in the cloud. I want to tell you a story, though. Our very first CSI in the cloud customer were the guys at Sportsman Boats. Mike from Sportsman Boats met us at the Sun Conference right before COVID. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, Jim, do you guys support CSI in the cloud?" And at that point in time, we didn't. So he said, "I really like the look and feel. How soon before you support CSI in the cloud?" And I said, "Well, it's coming, but it's probably going to be, 6 months or better." Anyhow, he emailed me about every quarter to say, "Hey, Jim, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet?" Finally, he gave up on me and went directly to our president and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in getting a copy of Cyberquery for CSI in the cloud. Can you help me out?" So the president said, "Yep, let's do it." So we built the interface probably 3 years ago, and things have just taken off. Cyberquery is really the best tool for accessing any data, whether it's SyteLine on-prem or CSI in the cloud. So we sent Mike a copy of the software for his free evaluation copy. First thing he did is he said, "Hey, here's a report we've tried to do with other tools in the CSI world. Can't do it. Can you help us out?" So obviously we did it, or we wouldn't be able to show it to you. But this is an interesting report. Over here on the left, it's showing all the job information, serial numbers, boat configuration, motors, all that stuff. But the real complexity of this report is over here on the right side. To get all of the, when did a boat or a job go into a particular work center, or when did it complete that work center, we have to recursively join back into the job route and the job schedule tables to get that information. So again, reports that are too complex to do in other tools within the CSI or SyteLine world, you can do very easily with Cyberquery. They used to run this report, basically daily. With Cyberquery now, they can run it every 15 minutes if they want. So they can see exactly what's going on with any boats. They can drill down to get the details, who's working on what. But again, they get a much better report. And again, it can be more live than what they had before. So very happy customers. Another happy customer are the guys at Independent Can. David Lugin, the VP of the supply chain, sent me this email and said, "Hey, Jim, the addition of Cyberquery helped us rescue our implementation of SyteLine. Our associates were ready to abandon the project because they were not able to access their information easily. The data was in the system, but they could not see it in the formats they wanted. CQ permitted us to bridge the gap and drive deeper system acceptance. We are now able to leverage all of our information for faster and more accurate decisions." And that's really the bottom line. I mean, that's why people want a tool like Cyberquery, is to be able to get their data in a format they want to make better decisions. When we pressed them a little bit more on why they bought Cyberquery, they said, okay, number of reasons. Number one, it lets us consolidate data across multiple databases and sites. Lets us automatically email the executives their dashboards every morning, and IT doesn't have to babysit those jobs. They were looking for something easy and fast, and that's really what we're going to be showing you here in the demo today. They want to be able to train the department users, and then they would be able to do 80, 90% of their own reports. They are looking for a manual replacement or looking for replacement for manual consolidations in the financial area. And again, the financial module of Cyberquery lets you do that very easily. And they wanted something where they could deliver on promise. So if they promised a user, a group of users, a report or a dashboard, they knew they could deliver with Cyberquery, and that the software wasn't going to run out of gas on them. So again, any report you can dream of doing, you can do in Cyberquery. They're also looking for something cheap. We asked them to change that from cheap to be cost effective. But as we get in, we'll talk about the price. Again, very reasonably priced. Okay. Here's an efficiency dashboard that we do for the guys at NIC Global. The operations manager came to us and said, hey, I'd like to have my own dashboard where with just a blink of an eye, I can see what's going on out on the shop floor. So he came up with this idea of the stoplight. So a green stoplight means no jobs over standard in that work center group. A yellow stoplight means one job over standard. A red stoplight means more than one job over standard. So again, you can look at this dashboard and say, okay, I've got an issue in the turret group, click on turret and drill down and see the individual work centers and whether they're red, green, or yellow. He can then click on a work center and drill down and see the jobs that are currently open within that work center. And again, whether they're red, green, or yellow. He can then click on a job and drill all the way down to see who are the people logging time against this job and are they over or under the standard in terms of minutes. Now, this dashboard was so successful, they ended up putting it on a touchscreen monitor out on the shop floor. And now management can just walk around and with a greasy finger, they can go tap, tap, tap to drill down to the data they need to see. Okay, here's another dashboard. This one combines data from Salesforce in the cloud in purple, CSI in green, and then the corporate budgets in Excel. But again, Cyberquery can bolt the data together from all three sources, present it, users come in here, go click, and now they can drill down and see the details of what's going on in Salesforce or CSI or Excel. But again, combining data from multiple sources is very easy with Cyberquery. And when you talk to our customers, and we encourage you to do that, we've got very happy customers. They'll tell you that Cyberquery, it just works. Whether the user's an executive clicking on a dashboard, an end user who's dragging and dropping fields to build a report, or a power user who wants to be able to slice and dice and drill down through data, or even a programmer who wants to look at the syntax behind all the pretty screens. So users can work at any level they choose. Anything you can do at the graphical environment, you can do in the syntax and vice versa. Also, from an administrator perspective, it's very easy to use, probably less than 30 minutes a week to administer Cyberquery. Second bullet here is power. Again, any report you can dream of doing, you can do in Cyberquery, including drill downs and dashboards. Performance, the software is fast. Whether we're accessing CSI data out of the cloud or SQL Server or Progress data on-prem, the system's fast. The system is server-based. It makes it very easy to control security and share reports. We've written our own native Progress and SQL Server interfaces for the local databases. We've also done the same we've written our own Mongoose IDO interface into the cloud. So we can actually pull data out of the cloud and we can do a full load. We can do incremental updates. So again, performance is a big deal and we're very fast when it comes to accessing the data. Security, you can secure data at the site level, the database, the table, all the way down to even row and column value level. So if you need to do security by contract or by project or by sales rep, you can do that within Cyberquery. Licensing, again, you can license the software perpetually, annually, or month to month. And because so many SyteLine or CSI customers have been burned by other reporting tools, we find that almost everybody wants to start monthly, and then they'll upgrade to the annual or perpetual plan. An average license for, say, somebody that's got, I'm going to say 5 to 10 report developers and 20 to 30 runtime users, that license is probably going to run on a monthly basis $1,600, $1,700 a month. We've got smaller licenses where you get 2 developers. And again, that package is going to be probably about half that price. So again, you don't have to mortgage the farm to get into the software, very reasonably priced. Okay. Here's just another report. Within SyteLine or CSI, you can enter an order as a CO, a customer order, or as a field service contract, or as a field service and repair order, or as a project. And Cyberquery can read across multiple databases. It can also read across multiple modules within CSI to basically combine all these orders down to one line where users go click to drill down. Here's an interesting income statement coming out of SyteLine. Again, showing current period, percent of sales year to date, prior year, budget, all that. But a user comes in here and says, okay, I want to see what's going on with custom materials. They go click, and now they just drill down. Here are the ledger accounts for that particular line within the spreadsheet or the income statement. They go click again, and now they can drill down and see the finalized transactions for that ledger account for that time period. They can export the data to Excel, PDF, HTML just by clicking right there. So again, very easy to use, and users just need a browser. So we support all the major browsers. So if your users have got Internet Explorer or Internet Edge, Firefox, Chrome, even Safari. So if you've got executives walking around with iPads or even iPhones, they can still get the reports, and they can even build reports from an iPhone screen if they got pretty good eyesight. So again, just any major browser. Here's an example of an invoice we do for the guys at Sportsman Boats. The top third, that's data coming out of SyteLine. The bottom 2/3, that's data coming out of CPQ. Now, when you build a report and you want to share that report, you publish the report to the Launchpad. This is a screenshot of the Launchpad. Completely customizable by you. So your own logo, color schemes, graphics, tree structure over here on the left. And I'll show you this when we get into the product. But again, a user just comes in here and goes click to get to any report or dashboard they want to see. Cyberquery's also got a great Excel interface. We don't just print to Excel as if it were a sheet of paper. We actually output sums and maxes and mins wherever possible. We've also got a great Excel add-in where the Excel user can sit inside of Excel and pull data into a given cell or range of cells. So my background, I'm an accountant. I like Excel. This is something that I put together. This particular spreadsheet you're looking at has got 3 SyteLine or CSI reports in it. This blue data, the green data, and the gray data is all coming out of CSI. These light yellow cells are the input fields that drive those reports. These bright yellow columns, those are local Excel variables. So I can set up this spreadsheet, build whatever kind of model I want. I can save it, send it to my boss. He or she can open it up and just say refresh or change these input fields. And assuming that that person's a valid SyteLine user, Cyberquery is going to reach back into SyteLine or CSI, update these ranges, but not overwrite anything that's been done at the Excel level. So like these Excel charts continue to operate with the new data as it comes in. These local calculations continue to work. Whatever forecast I've set up continues to work. So it really gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you easy, fast, secure access to all your CSI data, and yet the ability to do whatever kind of modeling you want within Excel. Okay, here's an example of a Kanban card. Cyberquery supports all kinds of barcodes and QR codes. Here's an example of a costed and indented bill of material, all output to Excel. Here's an example of a costed and indented bill of material with a routing on top of it. And then here's just some sample types of graphics that you can use in the Cyberquery dashboard, including things like heat maps and bubble charts. And again, users just click on any of these objects to drill down. Here's an example of another dashboard with security, where again, one user may see California, another user may see Arizona, then the group may see everything in the Western region. People might see corporate, but again, you can structure your security based on, groups and, sites or however you want to do that within the system. Here's an example of a of a bubble chart superimposed upon a map of the US. Here's a map of the US showing purchasing power by county. And again, users come in, they just click on any of these counties to drill down to get data they want to see. Here's an example of a scorecard. This is product code going down the left-hand column, unit code 2 going across the top. But again, users come in here, they just go click on any of these lights to drill down to see what's going on within that section. Okay, now here's the one technical slide within the session today. Cyberquery is what we like to call a dictionary-driven environment. This dictionary gets built automatically when you install the software. So it gets built so it picks up all of your customizations, custom tables, custom fields, what have you. That dictionary then holds all the metadata. It's not the data, it's the metadata, it's the information about the information. So it holds things like table names and field names and column headers and masks and all that kind of stuff. Most importantly, though, it brings in both the native as well as the user-friendly table names and field names. The one that I really care about, because again, I'm an accountant, the system goes through and figures out all the joins. So as an accountant now, I can just click and drag from any table, and the system figures out how to build the relationships between all the other tables that I might need. And again, that's all done automatically. The system handles multiple sites right out of the box. It also handles multiple databases and or applications in a single dictionary. You can also have multiple dictionaries if you need. So you may have one data dictionary for SyteLine, one dictionary for CSI, one dictionary for Salesforce, and then a fourth one that pulls them all together. So again, you can have as many dictionaries as you want. Okay, and again, just to answer a couple questions that come along. So Cyberquery can see pretty much any data warehouse. You don't have to point at the data warehouse, but that's a great question because a lot of people say, what kind of performance issues would we have if we're pointing at the production data? Every one of our customers is pointing at production data. You could point at other data, but you don't have to. Again, Cyberquery is super fast. Because it's a read-only environment, we don't place any locks on the tables. So again, it coexists with any other thing going on very easily. And I'll show you kind of some of the Cyberquery so you can kind of see how it compares with the other tools that are out there. Okay, so I think that answers most of the questions for right now. Just going on. Some of the things I like about the dictionary is the dictionary also translates some of the funny data types that Infor likes to use within SyteLine. For example, SyteLine uses a timestamp. And timestamps are great for manufacturing, because the manufacturing people care about hour, minute, and second. And so the timestamps are important. But the accounting people, the sales guys, they don't care about hour, minute, and second. So Cyberquery automatically builds a sister field for every timestamp that's a regular date. And these date fields are just easier to manipulate and qualify on and all that. So that gets built automatically as part of that dictionary build process. We also handle all the enumerated and text fields, all the notes fields within SyteLine. And then again, the reason the system is so fast is we're making direct calls to the native data source, whether it's CSI in the cloud, whether it's SQL Server, Progress, Informix, DB2, Oracle, any ODBC data source like Excel or Access. We even support flat files, index files. So pretty much any data you're going to run into, you can access with Cyberquery. You can also combine that data with your SyteLine or CSI data very easily. We also have this kind of unique construct. We call it a viewpoint within the dictionary. And you can have as many viewpoints as you want, but you may set it up where the salespeople see exactly 0 CSI tables. All they see are some ECQ data marts and cubes. They don't see any of the native tables. Somebody in purchasing might see 5 or 10 tables. Somebody in finance may see 100 or 200 tables, but they don't need to see all 1,800 tables in SyteLine 10. Okay, the other great thing about the solution is our support team. We've got great people. We're still a relatively small company, less than 100 people, but our people know the software inside and out. Our support group averages over 8 years of experience with the software. More importantly, they also know SyteLine and CSI because they help build that report library. So I mentioned before that there's a report library of about 200, 250, maybe 300 reports now that come with the package. You can use those reports as is, modify them for your particular needs, or just use them as training examples. But our people know SyteLine, they know CSI. We've also got great training. You can do the training remotely or on site, whatever works out best for your people. Okay, kind of a graphic summarizing what we've just gone through. So starting down here at the bottom, any major browser, that's all the users need. They're going to connect to the Cyberquery server. That's going to be at your facility or your hosted environment. One user may connect in, and they may only see one table or only one site worth of data. Another user connecting to the same environment may see multiple tables or multiple sites worth of information. They may see multiple applications. Again, it's all controlled by you, either by user ID or Active Directory groups. Users may or may not see EC2 data marts and cubes, but again, you control what people see. There's also a complete scheduling system, as well as macro or scripting capability that surrounds the entire product. So you can build one job that runs the first day of every month that generates 50 financial statements. The accountants go in and look at those statements and say, oh, we forgot to do this or we need to do that. They go back into CSI, enter those transactions, come back, click that button again, and Cyberquery is going to regenerate those 50 statements in seconds. So again, you'll be impressed at how fast the software is. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons we encourage people to bring in that free evaluation copy of the software, just to see how fast the data is in accessing your SyteLine or CSI data. Okay. Kind of last slide here. If you like what you see, just let us know. Again, send me an email, call me, or just reply to the survey you're going to see at the end of the session here. And just request the free test drive. We'll send it to you, help you get started. So we'll help you with the installation. We'll even help you write some proof of concept reports. And we do a little bit of basic training. And then we go away, let you play with the software. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, send it back to us. All free, all no cost. So again, that's what we mean by the EC2 test drive. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, call me, and we'll help you get started using the software. So I'm going to jump out of PowerPoint. Let's jump over to my browser. I'm using Chrome, and I'm going to maximize that. So I'm just going to go ahead and log into Cyberquery, and we're going to go out here and we're going to build a few reports and show you some existing reports. Now, logging in my environment is kind of busy, just because I can show you data from Infor or Oracle or SAP, Microsoft, Epicor, Globia, you name it. We're going to go into Infor. Within Infor, we support all their major ERPs, whether it's Infor LN or Bond, SyteLine, Visual, M3, Lawson, BPIX, PRMS, you name it. We're going to focus right here on SyteLine. And again, the software is going to look the same whether you're dealing with any version of SyteLine on-prem or CSI in the cloud. So let's go in here. Okay, now Cyberquery HTML is where we're going to go to build reports. The command line, we use that just during setup, don't use a lot after that. The Launchpad is what most users are going to see. Not everybody is going to see Cyberquery or command line or dictionary manager. They probably only see the Launchpad. Okay, dictionary manager, where you maintain that dictionary environment. So if you want to go in and add new relationships or whatever, you can do it right there. At the dictionary, change headers, mask, whatever, do it right there. QDirector is the scheduling package. And then CQ Publish is the module that lets you take a report from Cyberquery HTML and then publish it to the Launchpad. Now, again, depending on your organization, you may say, okay, developers can also schedule and publish. Other users say, no, it's got to go through a committee. But again, you can support any kind of environment you need with Cyberquery. But since most users are going to land at the Launchpad, let's go in there. Starting in the Launchpad, again, this is all customizable by you. Logo, color schemes, graphics. You can have as many graphics in here as you want. And users navigate by going click. So if I click on finance, I want to go look at my financial statements. Here's a financial dashboard. I'm just going to go out there and run it. Now this does read, a few million rows, so it does take a couple seconds to run out here. But what this is doing is in this dashboard, it's actually building me three objects. This first object is showing me income versus owner's equity. That pink line is return on equity. But again, I come in here and say, okay, what's going on? I go click on any of these bars. It's going to drill down. In this case, show me an income statement for that particular time period. Again, I can go click, click, click on any of these values, drill down, look at the ledger accounts. I can export the data to Excel, PDF, HTML, or even a Cyberquery format. But again, it's just click, click, click for your users. That's all they need to know. Let's go back here. I'm going to go back and let's look at a couple of sales reports. I'm going to click on my sales icon. Now, here's an example of a sales dashboard with gauges. And Cyberquery supports something like 16 different gauge types. This is a flat gauge. That's a speedometer gauge. This wine bottle is actually a gauge. This wine bottle fills up as the sales reps reach quota. But again, users come in here and they click on any of these graphics, whether it's the wine bottle, any of these gauges, to drill down to get more data. Let me show you more typical kind of sales dashboard. Here's showing revenue by year by month. Here's margin by year by month. But again, a user comes in here and they go click, and they can jump someplace immediately, or you can pop open a menu that says, okay, do you want to look at details for this month or year to date or whatever you want? I'm going to click on year to date. Goes out there, runs a report now showing sales by sales rep year to date. And I can say, okay, that's great. Or I can click these little arrows. So I click that arrow for Adam Wilson. It kind of expands out and shows Adam Wilson's sales by customer. And again, most users know if they see a blue underscore, they can click on it. It's going to drill them down, show more and more details. And you can keep drilling anytime you want. You can dump this data into Excel, PDF, HTML, just right there. So again, from an end user perspective, all they need to have is a browser and the ability to click. Now, when you publish a report, you specify whether the report or the dashboard can be viewed, whether it can be run, whether it can be cloned. Clone means make a copy and then let the user edit that copy. You could, although you probably don't want to allow somebody to edit a published document. The last item over here is kind of interesting. That's what we call subscribe. Subscribe is designed to get IT out of the business of having to push reports to the end users. This lets the end user come in here and say, hey, I like this report. I want to start receiving it at this time, on this date, and then every X number of minutes, hours, days, weekdays, weeks, months, etc. And you can also set it up as an alert where you say, hey, don't send me the report if there's no qualifying records. So just check right there. You can say, send it to this email address and send it to me as an HTML5 document, text, Excel, PDF, or a Cyberquery format. So pick your favorite format and then subscribe or unsubscribe to any of these reports. So again, that's designed to get IT out of having to push everything to the users. But I'll tell you what, let's go in here and let's just build some reports now. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do a right mouse click. I'm going to say, let's open Cyberquery in a new tab, just so I can bounce back and forth between this tab and other tabs if I need to. Okay, so it's gone out here. Here's my new tab. I'm going to say I want to do a new report. And the system is just going to walk me through the process of building that report. So I can build a list report. That's good old rows and columns. I can build a summary or a crosstab or pivot table-like report. I can build a plot or chart of any format. I can start and I can do labels, again, of any size and format. Or I can start with just an inquiry and modify that. But we're going to do several of these. So let's just do something simple first. I'm going to do a list report, and I'm going to click Next. The system says, okay, where do you want to start? Now, right now, if you look down here, you can see we're using this native viewpoint. That's the native names throughout SyteLine. So if I scroll through here, you can see, there's, pretty much any data you want. The nice thing about Cyberquery is there's no hidden data. Anything you want, you can see. You can limit what people can see, but again, Cyberquery allows you to see any table within SyteLine or CSI. For example, I type the word job in here. Here's my job master, here's my job item, job model, job tran, anything, any table that has the word job either in the name or in the description is right there. Now, I warned you before that I'm an accountant, so I don't like these native names. I actually prefer to use this end user viewpoint, and I'll show you what that means. So again, if I come over here and I type in, let's type in something like CUST, cust. So I can come in here, and if I click on customer order, that's the good old CO master table. So again, it just gives me, this end user viewpoint gives me a little bit more intuitive naming convention for the end user to go and start building reports. So I can do customer order, or I can use the CO master. I can use either option I want. For my example here, let's go look at the item master. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to double click on the item master. To build a report, all I do is I select fields from my dictionary. So this is a view into my data dictionary. And if I say, okay, I want item, I can go click and drag, or I can double click. So there's item. I'm going to double click on description. I want unit of measure, double click there. I want my product code and my PMT code and maybe my unit cost. I'm going to highlight all those and just drag them over, drop them in right there. I can come in here and say, you know what? I wanted to get my what's a good example? Say I wanted to bring in here my family code. Come over there and just type an F, jumps down to family code. I'm going to take family code. I'm going to put it maybe right in front of product code. So again, it's just click and drag. That's all I need to do. Now in my report, I want to bring in here quantity on hand, but I don't know where quantity on hand lives in SyteLine. No problem. I just come into my filter and type the word hand, H-A-N-D. The system looks through my dictionary and says, okay, you've got these three tables that have the word hand in there someplace. I'll say, okay, I think it's this item warehouse table. Yeah, there it is, quantity on hand. I go click, drag, drop. And now notice, Cyberquery did not ask me as the user how to go from my item file to my item warehouse file. It's already figured that out. I just click and drag. So I'm going to pull in here warehouse. Let's take warehouse and I'll put it, right in front of quantity on hand. But again, it's just click and drag, and I don't have to write SQL. Cyberquery's already figured out how to join the item master to the item warehouse master. I, as an accountant, just go click, 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 drag, keep going. Okay. So I'm going to say I've got enough fields right here. I'm happy. I'm going to click next. The system says, okay, do you want to sort the report? I'll say, yeah, let's sort it based on item. I'm going to double click on item. We can have as many sorts as we want. You don't have to display the field to sort on it. So again, I'll do that. Next, the system says, okay, do you want to select? Now, we can select on any field, again, whether it's used in the report or not. Because we support so many different databases, we have pretty much every comparison or Boolean operator known to mankind. So all the less than or equal to, greater than, matches, does not match, contains, does not contain, ends with, begins with, and whatever you want. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say, let's hit cancel. Because I wanted to show you how fast the software is. I'm going to hit finish and just read the entire database. And if you look down here in the bottom part of your screen, you can see we just read 53,000 rows and generated 1,100 pages of output. And we did that I'm going to move this out of my way, see if I can. I click on that little blue circle. We did that, read 53,000 rows, 1,100 pages in 2 seconds. So again, the software is screaming fast. Now, this is the main screen in the reporting environment. And again, all I do is drag and drop. So for example, let's say I wanted to bring in here my drawing number. I click on drawing number and I just go click, drag, and again, drop it anywhere I like. So here's my drawing number. It's kind of sparse data in this database. So I'm going to highlight that column and say, you know what? Now that I've thought about it, I think I want to delete it. But again, left mouse, right mouse is all you need. When you click the right mouse, it shows you all available options. So I can delete it. Move to the parking lot. Parking lot's that lower left-hand corner. You see over there, I can insert a copy. I can invert the selection list. I can do anything I want, but let's just say delete and it's gone. Okay, so get rid of that. Let's come in here. And one thing you'll see is I'm going to come in here and let's do this. For example, when I look at here, I'm going to highlight product code. I'm going to do a right mouse click, and I'm going to come in here and say I want to go into my duplicate values, and I want to show those. By default, Cyberquery likes to suppress duplicate values, so I'm going to say show, and you'll see a few more show up in here. But it's that easy. Left mouse, right mouse. Let's do a calculation. So I've got unit cost. I'm going to hold down my control key, click on quantity on hand. I'm going to do a right mouse click. And now the system recognizes that I've got multiple columns highlighted. So it says, again, what do you want to do? Do you want to delete them, move to the parking lot? Do I want to group them or concatenate those two columns? Or I can add the columns together. I can subtract the first from the second or the second from the first. I can multiply or I can divide. I'm going to say multiply. So it creates a new little column for me. And I'm going to shrink that down just a little bit. Now, there is no page width limit in Cyberquery because we know probably 50% of the time when users dump this data, they're going to dump it into Excel. Excel has no page width limit, so neither does Cyberquery. So you have as many columns width as you need to. But it's built this new calculation. It's given us a column heading. I'm going to say I don't like that column heading. I'm going to double click on the column heading and do a Control A and say this is my extended cost. Oh, come on, Jim. Like a type. And I'm going to force it all to uppercase by clicking right there. Say OK. There we go. So now I've got a new column heading right there. I'm going to highlight that column again, do a right mouse click. I'm going to go to my item properties. Item properties is where you go a lot. I'm going to say, hey, this is a numeric column, and I only want to see 2 decimal places. So just check I can make that any value, but let's go with 2 for right now. So now we're looking at 2 decimal places. I'm going to highlight that column again and do a right mouse click again. And I'm going to say, let's sort that column descendingly. And we'll make that the primary sort in our report. And now you'll see that we've got all our most expensive items up at the top of the report. So again, left mouse, right mouse, that's all your users need to know. I'm also going to come in here and say, you know what? I only want to look at manufactured items. I'm going to highlight an M, do a right mouse click, and I'm going to come down here and say, only get me items that are equal to M. So click. So now we're just looking at manufactured items. Again, left mouse, right mouse, that's all we need to do. The other nice thing about the product is people that know Excel will pick up Cyberquery very quickly because the buttons are just like Excel. So new, open, save, print, print preview. Here's the most popular product in the button. That's in the product. This is the good old undo button. And I can do undo, 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 redo, redo. It's unlimited levels of undo and redo. I can run the report and watch when I'm running the report. Watch the button to the right. Whenever I want, I can click stop and say, okay, SQL, I've got enough rows. So again, you have to be really quick because again, the software is so fast. But again, that lets you stop. So you don't need to read 30 million rows to start laying out a report. Read a few thousand, say stop, look at it, make sure it's looking good. Next icon after that is my schedule icon. If I click on that, it says, okay, Jim, you got to save a copy of this report. I'm going to save it, and we'll call this one Sun 11. Oops, that's not 11. 11/2023, something like that. So we've saved that. It says, okay, which queue do you want to use to run the report? On my little laptop here, we've only got one queue, so I'm going to use that. It says, do you want to set a title? Say, yeah, let's call this one, just call this one Sun. I'm going to click next. The system says, okay, do you want to submit for immediate execution or submit with a pattern? Let's say you want to create a pattern. I'm going to add a pattern, and I'm going to say, let's have this report run at 4:44 starting tomorrow morning. And I want it to repeat every second weekday from now until the end of time. So I can do it that easily. Or I could say, hey, you know what? Let's have this report run, every 3 working hours, during working hours, or 3 hours during working hours. So I can do that. I'm going to go back and just have it run every other day. We'll say, okay. And I'll click next. The system says, okay, do you want to block this job until something else is run? I'll say, no, don't worry about that. And it says, okay, do you want to be notified every time the report runs? I'll say, nope, that's too much. But I do want to be notified anytime there's an error with the job. And then, by the way, I'm going to say, send the output to my email address, then space, Mary's email address, space, Joe. It's just a space delimited list, and it goes on and on and on. There's as many email addresses you want to put in here. And I can say, and send it to us as a Cyberquery report format, Excel, PDF, HTML, or text file. So again, I'll say PDF, and we'll say finished. Or if I click next, it says priority, normal, I'll go low. But again, when I click finish, it's now going to schedule that job. I'm not actually going to schedule it because I've got enough other stuff going on in my little queue, so I'm going to hit cancel. But again, it's that easy, even for an accountant like myself, to build a batch job. So that's schedule right there. Next icon over is my Excel button. I'm going to click on that. We're going to take this report we're looking at, and we're going to dump it into Excel. It's still a pretty good size report. So let's open that. And I sometimes get questions about what versions of Excel do you support? We can output data to any version of Excel. The Excel add-in, we actually, require 2003 or above. 2007 is better. But again, so here's our report. And what I want to do is I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom of this report, because I just want to show you these totals. Okay, scroll down. There we go. And if I click on any of these totals, notice that these totals do come in as an Excel function. It's not just a printed value. So that's really nice. Okay, but while we're here in Excel, let's do this. I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to click right there, and I'm going to click on Cyberquery, just open my Cyberquery ribbon. I'll say, let's insert a report from my local machine. And we're going to, it's going to make me log in. So I've got to log in. Even though I was logged in through my browser, it now logs me in, coming in through Excel. I'm going to go look at my SyteLine 10 data. And it says, which report do you want to use? I've got, here's one called sales details. And now the system's going to ask me 5 questions. It says, okay, for any prompts or input fields, do you want those to come in via the spreadsheet or come in via a separate pop-up dialog? I like them in the spreadsheet, so I'm going to choose that option. It says, do you want to include a refresh time? I'll say yes. It says, do you want to include the server information? I'll say no, that's too much. But I do want my Excel formatting to take precedence over the report. So I'm going to choose that option. I click finish. System goes out there, drops in my input fields, runs my report. And now that easily, I've got data coming in directly from SyteLine showing, all my sales information. And the good thing about this data is it's Excel at this point in time. So I can come over here. I'm going to click right there in that cell. I'm going to click on my home and say auto sum. So the system just summarized those 3 columns. I'm now going to take that calculation, drag it down here a ways. We'll call that good. But again, it's Excel, so I can do anything I want at the Excel level. So I can say, let's bold that column. Maybe I want to right justify it. Maybe I want to color it yellow. Again, it's Excel. Anything you can do at the Excel level, you can do now with this data coming in from the Cyberquery Excel add-on. And I want to show you how quickly data refreshes. So right now, if you look, you can see I got company 100, company 200, company 524 data in my report. That's because I've got a starting company of 100 and an ending company of 525. I'm going to change 525 to 100. Hit enter right now. System goes out there and refreshes my data that quickly now. So now I'm just looking at company 100. But again, it's fast, easy, powerful, Excel add-in. that especially the accountants just love. So we can come back to Excel later. Let's go back to my browser. Okay, so that's Excel. If I click here, we'll get an HTML version of the report. If we click here, we get a PDF version. If I click here, we can get a comma separated value file, or we can specify whatever delimiter we want to use for separating the fields right there. If I click here, we can email the report to anybody in my email. Now we're currently in what we call the visual editor. If I click on the keyboard, that's going to show me the report in the syntax mode. And I can toggle back and forth between the two. Again, I just click. It's a real simple 4GL, but very powerful. And it's nice to have it there because if you ever want to do a search and replace, it's much easier to do it there than opening a bunch of windows. So it's nice to have it, but most end users never see that syntax. But again, it's nice to have it there. Now, if you look closely, you'll see a scroll next to my cursor. That lets me do the dragging and dropping. Next icon over is my drill. I'll show you the drill in a minute when we do a summary report. After that is the paintbrush. Paintbrush lets me control font, style, and color. So I'm going to say, let's bold the item number. Let's make it bigger. And maybe we'll make the background color. I'm going to make it a light blue. Say OK. I'm also, with my paintbrush, I can come in here and say, you know what, if I've got quantity on hand, let's say if I've got quantity on hand, I'm going to do a right mouse click. I'm going to add a value. And I'm going to say if quantity on hand is greater than or equal to, I'm going to make this an even 1,000. I'm going to make the background color kind of a gold color. We'll say OK on that. And we're going to apply it to the whole line. Just going to make it real easy to spot, where we've got quantity on hand, greater than 1,000 units. And again, you can have multiple layers of highlighting going on. I've just got one there. So that's that. I can bring in pictures or graphics, logos. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go onto the border. With the border tool, I can draw boxes and banners and kind of highlight areas within my report. Again, everything's left mouse, right mouse. I'm going to go to my border properties, and I'm going to say, let's make this look striped. When it comes to striping, I'm going to alternate between green and white. We'll say OK. We'll say OK. So now if I scroll down here, you can kind of see it's looking like green bar paper if I wanted to. So I can do that. So again, it's that easy. Click, drag, drop, very fast. OK. And I did see another question came in about later viewing of this webinar. Yes, this webinar is available for later viewing. Okay, going back here, let's do a new report. So we've got this one. I'm going to say I want to do a new report. It says you want to save it. I'll say yes. Let's do a sum report this time. I'm going to click sum. And I'm going to come in here and let's go look at my sales data. Go out here and I'm going to look at I'm going to do my sales lines. And and it says, what do you want to summarize? I'm going to summarize that field called amount. And I'm going to click next. It says, what do you want to summarize it by? By means down the page. I want to go down the page by my address table using that field for name. And I want to go across by, I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. And before I do it, you probably already figured this out, but if you look at these fields, like if I say, for example, if I click on unit of measure, that A means alphanumeric field. When I see these nines, means it's numeric value. When I see something that looks like a calendar, that's a date field. When you see the calendar with a clock on it, that means it's a time stamped field. But I can use either one. I'm going to use that one. And you notice when I bring it in, it says the default is just to go across by year and show a total. Anytime you have a question, you highlight the column and do a right mouse click. I'm going to look at my properties. And if I click on sort, it's saying we're sorting by year. I can say, let's sort by year and month, or year, that's quarter, or year and month, quarter, whatever. I could do it by week. I could do it by ISO year, whatever. I'm just going to go to keep it year, and I'll do a total. But I go through and just say, OK, OK, and say OK here, and I'm just going to say finish. Soon goes out there, and that quickly now I've got a report showing sales by customer across year. And I can stop right here and say I'm done, or I can say, let's bring in some more data. For example, I want to bring in what products these customers bought. Let's go grab my description. I go click, drag, drop. So here's sales by customer, by product, by year and amount. I can take description and put it in front of name. And now I'm looking at sales by product, then by customer, by year and amount. I can pivot this report by just clicking right there and pivot. But again, it's this easy. So I've had a lot of people tell me that, Cyberquery kind of looks like Excel pivot tables on steroids, where every field from your SyteLine or CSI environment is available to your pivot tables. Again, it's just click and drag. Okay, I'm going to get rid of description for a second, because I want to show you this. In my data, I didn't have email addresses. So I created a little Excel spreadsheet and called it customer emails Excel. And now I can grab that column for emails and pull it into my report. So that first column's coming from CSI, second column's coming from Excel, back to CSI for the rest of my report. So again, combining data from different sources is that easy. Let's do a couple things here. So while I've got this report, I'm going to do a right mouse click on name. And I'm going to say, let's do this. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, I want to select using name. And it says, okay, how do you want to select? And again, I can pick less than, greater. I'm just going to go with equal to. We'll do something simple here. I'm going to get rid of that, but I'm going to create a new runtime parameter or an input field. I'm going to call this an input underscore cust name. I'm going to put in here son, just a little bit unique. And we'll prompting text will say, please. We'll try to be polite. Please select customer name, something like that. Default, I'm going to use all. Now I can allow for multiple values, including the word all. So I'll say okay, and let's run the report. So I'm going to say okay. So it prompts me and says, okay, what customers do you want to see? Well, I don't want all. And hit that little X. I click my little drop down arrow, and now I can say, let's get Childress and Donnelly and Lowe's headquarters, and say run. And now we're just looking at those three customers. But again, it's that easy to set this up. I can also do this. I take this report, I'll say I kind of like it. And I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to save it. I'll do a Control S. And we'll call this one Sun 11 underscore 2023 underscore 2. Just some random name. Okay, so we've got this. And now I'm going to say, let's publish it out to my Launchpad. It says, do you want to save the output? I'll say yes. And we're going to use that same name. It's going to open my, what we call the Launchpad wizard, which just walks me through the whole publishing process. And again, I'm going to go quick because I see we're getting close to the end of time. So I'm going to say next. I'm going to publish that report. We'll publish everything. We're going to publish it into the directory for sales. And we'll say, okay. We'll say next. We're going to give it that. We'll leave it that goofy name. We'll let people view it, run it. We're not going to let them edit it. We're not going to let them clone it. I'll say next. Default format is HTML5. We'll go with that. And we'll say, I think we don't need to schedule. We could go through the same dialogue we went through in scheduling, but I'm not going to do that now. Let's say done, and we're finished. So if I go back over to my Launchpad right here and click on Launchpad and click on Sales, let me click there again. Okay, click on Sales. We called that name right there. And again, I can just go click Run. And again, have my drop-down list to run it for all. And there I've got my report. Okay, so it's just a real simple report. But let's do a few more things to it. Let's run it again here, because I want to show you how I can, for all these customers, I'll say, you know what, I don't want to see all customers. I'm going to right mouse click, go to my item properties and say, I want to rank these customers. I only want to see my top, I'm going to say 7 customers. And we'll say, okay. So now we're just looking at our top 7 customers. And I can drill down. I can do whatever I want to do. I can also take this report and say, hey, this might look nice as a chart. I'm going to click on chart, convert it, new window, convert all items. But this quickly, I can take a chart now, or report, convert it to a chart. I'm going to run it. And now the default chart type is a line. I'm going to say, I don't want to do a line. Let's do it this way. I'm going to right mouse click, go to my chart properties. Make sure I click on it. There we go. And I'll say, rather than a line, let's do a bar. So that's showing me sales by year. I'm going to get rid of year for just a second. Hit delete, it's gone. And I'm going to, rather than doing a bar, let's look at it maybe as a pie. Or maybe I want to do a donut. But I can go in here and start adding links now. So when I take this object, this donut now, and publish it into a dashboard, people can come in here and they just go click, click to drill down to see any second, third level reports we might have. So, okay. I know I've used up all the time. I'm going to check and see if there's any other questions. Okay, I'll question about the question here is about, number one, how soon after CSI versions come out does it take for Cyberquery to recognize those new tables or structures or fields? Really, it can be done instantaneously or almost instantaneously. You just refresh the IDOs that have changed and reload the data if you're in the cloud, or if you're on SyteLine, just run that, what we call the CSI toolkit. It picks up all the other changes. Okay, another question just asked about what type of server is required to run Cyberquery. If you've got a server that's got 4 to 8 gig of RAM and free disk space, if you've got 100 or 200 free, gig of disk space, we're going to be in great shape. So any version of Windows we like, prefer 2012 or above. We don't need SQL on the machine. So really just a bare bones server with the Windows operating system, and you're good to go. Okay, again, when we finish up, there's going to be a survey. Please fill that out or email me directly with any questions, but the survey is going to ask if you want a link to the recording or if you like the free evaluation copy. Just go through, check, but do fill out the survey for me, please, and we'll get back to you with whatever you might request. But thanks again for your attention and look forward to working with you. So thank you very much.